Hello, I'm Game Retainer, and in this video I'll be going over some locations that you won't find on Navezgane. For each location, I will be giving the coordinates for one of the pre-gen maps, and I'll list it all on the screen. You'll also have a high chance of finding these POIs on random gen worlds. Now, let's jump straight in. Up first we have Smithstone Silos. This place is a strange one, because it used to be on Navezgane, but as of the release of 1.0, it looks like the developers have taken this one out of that map. But, as I said in the intro, you can find all these on pre-gens and random gen maps. It's a very unique looking structure, with lots of good things going for it. First, you have this nice little farmland here, which is flat and square, so you can build whatever you like on this, with minimal effort. Also, you have these. These towering silos are pretty cool. Not only do they look amazing, but the long hallway on the top of this can be used as a really cool horde base. You can usher zombies up and through, and to be honest, it doesn't take a lot of work to actually turn this into a viable horde base. Just be sure to have some escape route at the back just in case things go south. This is the Buffalo Blues building. While its name sounds cooler than the actual location looks, it is still pretty useful. It's an incredibly easy place to clear out. It's pretty big. It's got a nice flat rooftop which is ideal for building a base. And because it spans over 3 individual structures, it makes for a perfect multiplayer base. So if you're looking for somewhere to take over with your friends and have a little section each, this is a really good contender. There is some loot inside, nothing too crazy, but what you're here for is the location itself. It's surprisingly nice. You can gut it and just use the empty husk of the building, but I think it's quite cool as is. Obviously remove any furniture and whatnot and make the place your own a little bit. But I would leave the core interior as is. Up next we have the Pantelli Residence. Now, there are a few modern buildings in the game, but this one is among my favourites because, well, just look at it. You have the nice balcony that goes pretty much all the way around, with the exception of the concrete walls here. You have a cool way to usher zombies and make them follow a certain path up to the roof, so this could be a viable horde base area. The interior, while it's nothing too special, it is a modern house, and it's all intact. There's very little damage, especially when you look at some of the other buildings in the game. This is one of the more fully formed ones. And as you can see, there's a pool outside, which, although I can't imagine you wanting to do any swimming, it's nice to have a water source handy, especially if you don't fancy building a handful of dew collectors. We're going to stick with the modern look for another entry. This is the Uninhabited Mansion. This is another really cool looking place that you could do quite a lot with. Also, because of its size and the fact that it's been built into 3 main blocks, this is not a bad location to take over with friends. It's pretty well fortified by default. You have balconies to shoot off, you have an empty pool here which you can turn into something, I'm sure. The interior, again similar to the previous one, it's pretty well intact. It's not as strong as the previous entry because it's obviously going under some construction work or is still being built, but it's still pretty strong. The roof is flat, you have this cool crane off the back here which I like, lovely skylight, little bit of loot, nothing too crazy, but I like this one. It's just a cool place to be. This is NDC Checkpoint 3, and like the other NDC checkpoints, for the most part, you won't find them on Navezgane. This place is a lot harder to clear than it looks. It's still not all that difficult, but it's surprisingly hard when you consider what it looks like. While it's probably not ideal for a base, it's a fun place to clear out, and it does have a little bit of rather unique loot. In this room here is a super corn stash, and inside this box you'll find the recipe for super corn and 5 seeds. So if you've cleared out Bob's Boars and Carl's corn, but you still want more seeds, you might want to come and check this place out. If you want to be really lazy, you don't have to clear the whole thing. The way the game wants you to do it is to enter through here, go around, in through the building, out, and take on all the enemies. While I do recommend it because it is quite fun, you can just hop on over this fence, go into here, grab the loot, and run away. Doing so will cause a couple of zombies to spawn and a couple of dogs, I believe, but nothing too strenuous. Next up, we're heading to Pineballs Bowling. Already, as you can see from the outside, the structure itself looks pretty awesome. You have a couple of levels of roofs, meaning that you can turn one area into a primary horde base and the second into a fallback base, storage, you name it. Also, the interior, with it being a bowling alley, has quite a lot of open space that can be used for building. The whole alley area here doesn't take long to clear out, and once you've cleared it out and broken everything down, you're left with a nice shell of a building that you can build inside of. And also, as you can see here, it does have some pretty good loot and some bowling pins that you can knock down, so there's that too, I guess. This is a fun one to take over with friends. I do keep saying that because I quite like the bigger structures recently. I've been enjoying them. You could also have this one as a solo base. Might be a little on the big side, but you know, to each their own. But it's cool, it's got a lot going on for it. It does have the garage back here, which, if I remember rightly, there's nothing too interesting inside, but still. Spans over a couple of levels. You could even turn this into a little firing point, I guess, and fire down on the undead. There's a lot that can be done with this place, and both the interior and exterior just look pretty cool. So check it out. This is US Army Post 7, and in my opinion, this is probably the hardest place to clear in 7 Days to Die. It is just packed wall to wall with enemies. Each of these shacks contains enemies. Each of these tents and little outbuildings contains enemies. And guess what? Every single level in here contains enemies. This here, little prison, do you know what it contains? Enemies. Everywhere. It has also got a cool underground area, which is just teeming with, you guessed it, enemies. I'm not going to show too much because I want you to clear it yourself. I have removed the previous residents for now just to make filming easier. Nobody wants to see me being chased by a bunch of them while I'm trying to record. And if I turn them off, they just make a racket in the background, so I got rid of them. This place spans over multiple levels. It has fantastic loot and just so many jump scares and just all sorts of horribleness. I did feature this one in a recent video of mine. If I remember, I'll put a link on the screen somewhere, but knowing me, I'll probably forget anyway. This one is really good if you're looking for XP, if you're looking for a challenge, and if you're looking for lots of top tier loot. Just maybe bring a change of underwear, because this one is, well, it's wild. I've saved the best entry for last. This is Rogue Nerd Refuge. And anybody who's watched any of my videos will know how much I love the way that the developers tell a story without uttering a single word. And this place, well, it has a story to tell. Despite the size of the building, it's a very easy one to clear out. There really aren't many zombies in here at all. And if you head to the roof, you can see that there was a survivor colony here before me. And while it's not the only one in the game, I like that it's a rooftop hideaway. I like that it seemingly had a nice community going and people were just trying to survive and do the best they can. I think it's such a clever location. I just love it. I really do. Inside, you've got offices, you've got various little corner rooms and whatnot. Nothing too crazy. As I said, You will find some enemies, not all that many. The library's a bit barren as you can see, but you might find some nice magazines and books, who knows. There's a little bit of loot. You're not going to get anything too wild in any of these places. But as I said, I love the story. I love how you can see the survivors slowly falling back and ending up being on the roof. Just, the whole thing is just so well made. I love it. I really do. So check this one out. The only thing I found with this one is I haven't yet found it on a random gen. And I could only find this on the larger pre-gen maps. So let me know if you've come across this on a random gen world, because I'd be interested to find out. So I hope you found that video interesting. I did try and keep the list varied. I had a couple of the more well-known entries on there, like the US Army Base 7 and NDC Checkpoint 3, but I also tried to include some of the lesser-known places that you won't find on Navezgane. If you can think of any other places, feel free to share it in the comment section below. I'm sure myself and other viewers will appreciate it, and I hope to catch you in the next video.